Whenever I watch color theory videos on makeup, I think that they don't exactly speak to makeup. I have an artist background. I studied art for many, many years, even on a scholarship. So I understand the color wheel and how it works, but it doesn't exactly relate completely to makeup. So I'm going to explain the color wheel to you first, and then we're going to kind of like make it more makeup friendly and show you how to use the color wheel principles with makeup. So when you're looking at a color wheel, you're looking at three different things. You're looking at primary colors, secondary colors, and tertiary colors. Your primary colors are your basic colors. They're single, standalone colors. They're colors that cannot be made by mixing other colors. That is blue, yellow, and red. They're your primaries. Now your secondary colors are your colors that are a mixture of two primaries. For instance, if you mix blue and red together, it makes violet. If you mix red and yellow together, it makes orange. If you mix yellow and blue together, it makes green. Those are your secondary. They're simply a mixture of two primaries. Then your tertiary colors are a mixture of a primary with a secondary. So if you were to mix yellow, which is your primary, with orange, your secondary, it would make yellow-orange. If you were to mix red with orange, it would make red-orange. Pretty simple. One more thing we need to talk about in dealing with colors is cool and warms. A cool shade is a blue base shade. That means the base of the color is blue. A warm shade is a yellow base shade. That means the base of the shade is yellow. For instance, purple is typically known as a cool purple. If you look, you have cool purples and warm purples. Just know that you can have warm versions of cool shades. Same way with the blue. You have your cool blue and your warm blues. You've added yellow to this blue to make it a warmer blue. I think if you look at this, it kind of brings in your eyeshadows. It's much more realistic to look at. You can see that you have cooler blues moving into warmer blues. So there are warm versions of a cool shade. You have cooler purples moving into a warm purple. For instance, that's a very cool purple. We've added yellow to it, and that makes it a more warm purple. And that, adding even more yellow to it, makes it even warmer purple. So cool and warm, every shade you have in a cool and a warm version. Here we have a cool gray. We've added yellow to it, that makes a warm gray. So just know, a cool shade has a blue base, a warm shade has a yellow base. Alright, I think this is a color wheel that more represents a makeup color wheel. And from this I can show you how a complementary opposite brings out your eye color more than a matching shade. For instance, if you had blue eyes, no matter what the shade of blue might be, if I were to take blue and put it on your eye, you don't know what to look at. So it detracts from your blue. If I were to take a bronzy, warm color and add it to your eye, it makes your eye look bluer. So our point here is we always want to use complementary opposites to bring out eye colors. So anything that's warm will bring out blue. Even a burgundy can bring out a blue. You can see how laying that shade next to the eye versus a purple brings the blue out more. And that's your goal. If you had a green eye, no matter what your shade of green, once again, if I were to use green, it blends with your green and does not accentuate or bring out your green. You want a complementary opposite. Purple will make your green eyes look greener. Burgundy will make your green eyes look greener. Copper will make your green eyes look greener. And you can see by laying these shades next to green, how it brings the green into focus. And that's your goal. If you have brown eyes, you can simply play with color. You won't be competing, and so you can play to your heart's content. You can use any shade you want. Now keep in mind though, some brown eyes might have a little more gold to them. If they have a little more gold to them, once again, your warm coppery shades will bring that gold out. Your purples will bring that gold out. Your greens will not, because it needs to be a complementary opposite. You need the opposite on the color wheel, the exact opposite. If you have brown eyes, they're a little darker, a little more warmth to them, then your blues, your purples, all those shades are going to make that brown really, really pop. Whereas your browns are not going to do that for it as much. So hopefully, in seeing these laying there, you can really see how that affects it. If you have just deep, deep, deep brown eyes, almost black, you can use any color you want because that will be the focus. Now, if you have multiple flecks in your eyes, which is quite common, many times you'll have, let's say, blue eyes with golden flecks. Once again, opposite on the color wheel because you're going to see mainly blue, and that's what we want to bring out. Opposite on that color wheel are those warm coppery shades. And those are what is going to bring out those shades, your burgundies, any of those shades. If you have green eyes with your golden flecks in there. Opposite on the color wheel, your burgundies, your warm browns, your purples. It really brings out that green and that gold. Now if you have hazel eyes, now hazel eyes are not one color. They're a mixture of colors. They're either green and brown or green and blue. If they're green and blue, you get to decide what you want to bring out more. If you want to bring the blue out, come over to the coppery shades. Those will bring out the blue. If you want to bring the green out in it, come directly across to the burgundy shades and the purple shades, and that will bring the green out in your eyes. So with that hazel eye, you get to choose what you bring out. If you want to bring the blue out, we go across from the blue to the coppery warm shades. If we want to bring the green out in it, we go across from the green to the burgundies and the purples. If you have green-brown hazel eyes, once again, we want to bring the green out because that's going to be the most exciting color. So you want to go directly across and use your warm coppery burgundies and purples. And you can see how that does so much more for the eye than by using that green right on top of it. Remember, how it works is you want the exact opposite. If your eyes are blue, you go directly across to those coppery warm shades. If your eyes are green, you go directly across browns, warm coppers, purples, and burgundies. If your eyes are very yellowy and cat eye, straight across to your purples. You want a complementary opposite, the exact opposite on the color wheel. Alright, when we're talking about color theory and blush, I personally have a few rules of my own. But the first thing, and I think the easiest way to look at blush, is it's not to contour your face with, it's not to reshape your face, it's to add life and color to your face. A great rule of thumb is if you were to run around the block, you don't want to use this shade of blush any darker than what you flush to. We have our ivory beige, our bronze ebony. The main purpose for me showing you in this manner is, I think that's really where the biggest cutoff point is between ivory beige and bronze ebony. I do find that a lot of ivory beige women tend to want to wear your brown bronze ebony shades. And as you can see, if we were to take a very nice, rich, warm brown bronze ebony shade, if we were to try to wear it on your ivory beige skin tone, it just doesn't work. Just as if a very pale ashy shade does not work on your rich, dark bronze ebony shades. If you're going to have shimmer or sheen to your blush, I personally prefer one with gold shimmer versus silver shimmer. I think the silver shimmer looks too reflective and ashy, which definitely does not work on bronze and ebony skin. I will say though, that on darker bronze and ebony skin, I tend to like blushes that do have a bit of a sheen or shimmer to them because they give the skin a little bit more of a glow and they prevent them from looking ashy. But remember, they need to have a gold or a warm shimmer, not a silver shimmer. You'll also find that bright pops of color really look amazing on your darker skin tones as well. You will find sometimes that there are some shades that are universal, such as this nice apricot color. It can work on your ivory beiges as well as your bronze ebony. So sometimes there are universal shades. The main important thing is not to try to pull off something that's too dark for your skin tone, and you're always better off going with more color versus more darkness. Okay, so let's do a little experiment here. Let's clean off all the color and let's compare wrong and right for different skin tones so that you get a clear picture as to what does and does not work for different skin tones. And I think the best way to show that is just flat out comparing the colors. Now, we have our ivory beiges and our bronze ebony. We see that if we take this beautiful peach, it's going to work up and down all these shades. If we take this brown berry, it's going to make her look dead and hurt. It's going to look like someone punched her in the face. Now, if she does want something more intense, we can go to something bright. We just don't want to go to something too brown. Because remember, ivory beige does not have that much brown in their skin, and it would be darker than what they flush to. But it's okay to go brighter. Another great shade, any of your soft peaches and pinks are great for ivory beige skin. But once again, if we brought across dark browns, toasted almonds, raisins, obviously not the right color. You can see how much prettier these go with this skin tone versus these. These are going to make you look almost muddy, whereas these are going to brighten your skin. Let's do the same thing for bronze ebony. Now bronze ebony, remember, we want to brighten as well, but since there is so much brown undertone in their skin, you can see how these nice almondy, warm raisin shades really work. Nice coppery brown, rich berry. Shockingly enough, a bright apricot looks great, but we can see how this soft, subtle peach is just going to look ashy for them. So remember, what she naturally flushes to is going to be a darker, more intense shade versus what ivory beige flushes to. And that's basically what you're trying to do. You're trying to recreate that natural flush. Now you can do a brighter, lighter color as long as it's sheer and has a bit of shimmer to it, so it just adds shine to the skin. But you're always going to be better adding more intensity to your bronze ebony shades. So hopefully by comparing those side by side, you can see it ain't gonna work. It's just gonna end up looking ashy. It's gonna look ashy. So they have the opposite problem from ivory beige. If we go too pale, it's gonna look ashy. If we go too dark, it's gonna look too muddy. Hopefully that made it a little easier for you. When I'm thinking about color theory in lipstick, I go through a series of questions in my head. First and foremost for me is what size are your lips? Because a darker shade of lipstick will make lips look smaller, or a lighter shade will make them look fuller. So if you have thin lips, the last thing you want is a dark shade of lipstick. Also, with ivory beige skin, the fastest way to age yourself is with a deep, dark lipstick. Now it's different with bronze ebony because the contrast between the skin and the lipstick is not very much. But when you do the dark lipstick against the lighter skin, it's a higher contrast, so it will age you. The fastest way to look younger, especially on ivory beige, is with a bright, colorful, warm lipstick because it will add life and color back to the face. Whereas if you did a more neutral shade, it would just blend into the skin. It wouldn't add the brightness that the brighter color does. Also on bronze ebony, a brighter color can as well brighten their face as well if they want to look younger and more youthful. The second thing you want to think about is your skin tone. Obviously with bronze ebony, because it has a brown undertone, they can wear brown shades. They actually look very natural on them. On ivory beige, it's too dark, too brown, it's just going to make them look dead. So you have to consider your undertone. Also, you can think cool and warm, but I find that always warm lips are a safe bet. For instance, your ivory shades can wear a cool pink. They can wear a cool pink, but you'll find that it is much more flattering for a warm pink. Whereas bronze ebony, obviously, it's going to be too ashy. So to wrap it all up, I always keep a few things in mind. First being your lip size. That's always the most important to me because you never want to wear a shade that's dark if your lips are thin, and a lighter shade will make them look fuller if they are thin. And then secondly, it is your skin tone. You want to choose something that's very complementary to your skin tone. If you're not sure, you want to play it safe, you can always just choose a shade that's a couple, 3 shades darker than your natural skin tone. That'll give you definition without being too much.